Welcome to Cuetips Series 9, and the first series where it's been filmed in my new snooker room with my own match table. It's in the Crucible Club in Reading. The first shot of Series 9 is from Rafa MCT, and he wants to know how to play with helping side, when you would use helping side. We've got an example here. We've got a half ball green into its own pocket. We need to come off this cushion and come down to the reds. Now, if you didn't use any side, you'd have to hit it a lot harder. So the reason we use helping side is so you can hit a bit smoother and a bit softer. And let the side take the pace of the cue ball down to the reds. So of course we're in with that right hand side. We haven't hit it very hard. The side takes the cue ball closer down to the reds to clear up and win the frame. Q-tip request from L Caddy 7, and it's about bringing the cue ball back down this end of the table. We've got a red over that corner pocket. Now, maybe some beginners will think, oh, I've got to play this with topspin and hit it hard. Well, that's the wrong thing to do, because if you do that, the cue ball will have topspin, which will arc the cue ball and keep it down that end of the table. You've got to almost aim low on the cue ball and almost like play a stun shot, so then you've got zero spin. And that will bring the cue ball right down the table. Now look at this first shot. Perfect on the black. You're up and win the frame from there. Today's Q-tip request comes from North Country Boy, and it's a shot that's been very popular in every series of Q-tips. It's playing from tight on the cushion. Even for professionals, this is one of the most difficult shots, because you can only see a fraction of the cue ball, so you can't really do anything fancy position-wise. You just got to make sure you pot the ball. We've got a straight black of the spot here, so what I tend to do is just, normally your cue's parallel, I try and raise the butt a little bit, so to try and get to more of the surface of the cue ball. And then it's just a matter of keeping your head still, nice loose grip, deliver the cue in a straight line, and as I say, nothing fancy with the cue ball. Make sure you pot the ball so you play the next shot. Q-tip request from Speedy Fox 147. It's on a straight yellow to screw back for a red. It's on the black cushion. I say we're in a frame here. None of these reds pop. You only need one red to win the frame, so you're not going to play any fancy shots. You could play the brown and try and split the reds, but we want to be granite. We want to just pot the last red. So deep screw. Obviously you need to be nice and low on the cue ball. Nice loose grip. Long backswing. Nicely through the cue ball. Screw back. Pot that last red. Opponent needs snookers. We've won the frame. Q-tip request from Thane 1992, and he wants to know actually how you keep this red out if you need a snooker. And obviously it's right over the pocket. If it was actually right in here, I mean it's impossible, but if it's a little, maybe say an inch out, it gives you a chance. But obviously, you know, you could play it, you could try and play cushion first. That's one way of playing, I suppose, but just try and, you know, miss the red basically. I mean, it's hard to do, but try and hit the red on an extreme side, right or left will do, and then just hit the ball as hard as possible. It's not an exact science, that shot, but yeah, kind of go one side or the other. If possible, hit cushion first. Q-tip request from Tim Allen 65, and it's how to play delicate shots when the cue ball and object ball are very close together. Say we've got an instance here, we want to clear the colours to win the frame. We need to get position on the green into its own pocket, so we need to play a little topspin shot. Now, because they're so close together, you can't really play your normal longer backswing and smooth through the ball, because you run the risk of double hitting. So these are the only shots where I'd advocate a slightly sort of jerkier action, so you don't get that double hit. So you get the bridge hand nice and close, and it's almost just a little jerky action to make sure you don't push the cue ball. Look at that, perfect on the green. Q-tip request from Mark_Little, and it's a shot where you've just potted the yellow, you finish a little bit short on the green because you want to clear the colours and win the frame. So you need to play with check side to hold the cue ball, come off this cushion, hold the cue ball in a straight line to try and put the brown into the safe pocket. So because you're playing check side, which in this case is left hand side, you're going to be aiming a little bit thicker on the green to allow for the cue ball pushing to the right. Just smooth to your action. Check side, hold on for the brown. That's perfect position. You're gonna. Q-tip request for an effective practice routine comes from Hampus Berglund, and this is a pretty effective practice routine for actually beginners or experienced players. Basically, we just spread all the balls all over the table, and basically you just got to pot them all any order you like. Sounds simple, but say just put the cue ball wherever you like. Okay, we start with blue. Try to think about where you're putting the cue ball. But basically, that's all it is. Try and put all the balls on the table and start again. It's pretty effective. Q-tip request today from Adit Raja, and it's a shot where you've got the red, which is on the yellow spot. It's the last red in a frame. We need a black to win the frame. So how do you play this shot? They want to know, would you rather play plain ball or would stunt around the angles? A couple of things determine this. Where the balls are on the table determines what path you can send the cue ball in. Also, playing it plain ball, you play it slower, table could roll off, so on a club table that could be an issue. I think I would prefer, provided there's no balls in the way, to play it stunt around the angles. Because this makes you able to play a more positive shot. You can come off two cushions, bring the cue ball down, look at that, on a string, perfect with the black, clear up and win the frame. Q-tip request from Hamblin.Steve, and it's for a more advanced shot. This is the reverse side. Say we want to clear up and win the frame. We've got the last red in the cushion here, but we're on the slightly wrong side of the black, so how do we get on the red? We need to take the cue ball off this cushion, and the reverse side, check side, we'll bring the cue ball back in this direction, hopefully position on the red. Run inside, we take the cue ball that way, check side, back for the red. We're waiting on curtains, but the room's a bit bright, so help in sunglasses. Right hand side. Right side, reverse side. Perfect on the red. Clear up, win the frame. Q-tip request from Sam Jervis _ who wants a basic long pot and drill. Now I've set one up here. Okay, the red's very close to the corner pocket. Cue ball, keep the cue ball always in the baulk line, so that means your bridge hand is the same distance every time. But we're starting off with an easy one. Now as you get better, obviously you pull that red further and further away from the pocket. But we'll start off with the easy pot. So we start with the easy one, keep bringing that red further and further away from the pocket until you become a long potting machine. Q-tip request from The Power of Neil, and it's about potting straight pots, and particularly wants to know about potting into the middle pockets. Now, the middle pockets obviously people find more difficult than potting into the corners, basically because you haven't got a lot of pocket to aim for here. You've basically got almost just a ball's width. So middle pockets, you want to aim for kind of the far jaw, because if you go anywhere near this near knuckle, you're going to miss. And also when it's a straight pot, you want to get right behind the pot, straight line, and you get down to the shot, and you've got that line. Obviously you want to find the middle of the cue ball, and then keep still, for the cue, and that will improve your straight potting. Q-tip request from Miko.Lees, and he wants to know what's the best grip to use when the cue ball gets quite close to the cushion. We've got a shot here where we're going to pot the pink to the corner pocket for position on the yellow. So as I say, if we're too close, if we put our hand on the table, we're far too close to the cue ball. Some people rest their hand on the edge of the table. This is okay, but we're quite far. See, the bridge hand is quite far away from the pink. So what I prefer to do is put these three fingers on, this finger over the cue, and then we're guiding the cue between the third finger and the finger that's over the cue, and then that gives us quite a solid foundation to pot the pink, send the cue ball up to clear up and win the frame. Q-tip request today from Multiples. That's about basically when you're clearing the table, you want pink and black to win the frame. You finished a bit low, obviously we want to be there, so just top the pink and be perfect in the black, but we've finished here. So now, if you need black, what do? You've got to play with extreme left-hand side here, so when the cue ball hits this cushion, it's going to come down this way to hopefully play the black into the same pocket. Even a little bit thicker, because you're using that extreme left-hand side. Side take effect, check side, got a black to go on with the frame. Q-tip request from Azarkan6853 is about how to judge how hard to hit the cue ball for different shots. Now this is not really an exact science, it's very difficult to try and explain this, but to put it as simply as I can, if you were just rolling through the black, your bridge hand would be closer, and that's a very gentle shot. If you want to play the stun shot, you'd have to hit the ball, obviously lower down the cue ball, and with a little bit more authority. And then again, say you were screwing up for the blue, a little bit further back swing, and firmer again. So it all depends what kind of shot you want to play. Q-tip request from Morin Raimondo, and it's to pot a loose red that's been left with a poor break-off shot. Now, we see so often on the TV is that the break-offs become such an important shot in professional snooker because they're all such good long potters. So we've got an example here where somebody's broke off. You've not got the cue ball. You want the cue ball on the ball cushion when you break off, but if not, got it here. Left this red, which obviously we call the shot to nothing. But professionals are so good, we won't be bringing the cue ball back to ball. We're going to stop it short for either the blue or ball colour. So we're giving us a chance. From a poor break off, we've got nicely on the blue, we can try and clear up and win the frame. Q-tip request today from Jacob_snooker, and it's on top spin, how not to jump the white off the table. Now, how you don't jump the cue ball off the table is when you're playing top spin, have the cue as parallel as possible to the bed of the table. Then you can play this shot, the top spin, as hard as you like. Cue ball's never going to leave the table. If you want to do it, let's have a bit of fun here. Say you want to take the cue ball up that end, you can actually jump the cue ball over the bunch. What you do now is aim down on the cue ball. So obviously if you don't want to jump it, this is not what you do. You aim down on the cue ball, slightly below the top this time, and just hit it hard. Jump the cue ball over the pack. Legal shot, looks pretty good though. Q-tip request from Red Black Snooker, and it's about a little routine for improving your soft screw shots around the black. Got a little situation here, very simple. We're going to pot this red in the corner pocket, little soft screw for the black to the same pocket, and again soft screw for the red into the same corner pocket. Now when you're playing soft screws, get your bridge hand in a little bit closer. Nice loose grip, and obviously you don't have to pull the cue back as far, so you're not hitting it hard at all. Make sure you chop the cue. Again, bridge hand nice and close, not so low the cue ball, little soft screw, and this one. Okay, we're not going to get position in the black with this one because it's have to do a deep screw, but so the secret to little soft screws is bridge hand closer and don't hit it quite as hard. Q-tip request from Moilsey. He's actually asked for a couple of shots. He's asked for me to pot the blue in the corner pocket, screw the cue ball into here, which I'm not going to do. But I'm going to play the top spin version, which is pot the blue in the corner, follow the cue ball in after it. The reason I'm not doing both, I've only got 59 seconds to do the video. I don't have time. So this is a real test of cueing. Going to strike the cue ball in the middle to be able to pot the blue. And follow the cue ball into the pocket. How do you like that, Moilsey? Q-tip request from Magic Ban, who wants to see the exhibition shot Trump plays at the end of frames, getting from black to yellow of 5 cushions. So point the black in, standard run inside of 1 cushion, 2 cushions in between green and brown, 3 cushions, 4 cushions, 5 cushions, hopefully around about here to pot the yellow. 2, 3, 4, 5 cushions on the yellow. How's that? Today's Q-tip request is a nightmare for me actually. It's a double. I'm probably the worst I've ever been at playing doubles. It comes from Ian Jerem. So the way I work out doubles is, I have to think for a while first, but what I basically do is, it's a bit of geometry here actually. The angle that the red's going onto the cushion, I try and replicate that so it's going to come off at the same angle into the pocket. So if it's going that way, I want to try and replicate it so it's come off the same way. I know it's not an exact science, but it's the way I do it, unsuccessfully. We'll give it a go. Wow, we got it. That's a gimme for most players, but for me, I'm delighted with that one. Q-tip request from Dafra5691, and it's a kind of a beginner's tip. How do you pick out the potting point on an object ball? I've got black here, so if you want to pot in the corner, come around and have a real look. Even put the point of your cue, a straight line, as if you've got a straight pot from the black to that corner pocket. So you're picking out this potting point here, is exactly where you need to hit to pot the black. Then don't ever take your eyes off of that. So when you get down, still put your eyes on that, deliver the cue, pot the black, then you're on to the next red. Q-tip request from Martin Cantwell, and it's about how to play the stun shot, because apparently his mate keeps on falling through the cue ball. Now, you want to play the stun here. If you follow through the cue ball pot in this blue, well, the cue ball will end up in the pocket. So to play the stun shot, it's basically just middle of the cue ball, maybe slightly below, and it's just delivering a positive action. So there you see I'm pretty much in the middle of the cue ball, pause, deliver the cue ball, stun, no more follow throughs for your mate. Q-tip request from Thomas J. Ware, and it's about the perfect break-off shot. Now I put the cue ball in between yellow and brown, slightly closer to the yellow, because I'm hitting the end red of the 5, and I want to get a slightly thicker contact on that red to play with right hand side of 3, maybe 4 cushions, try and get the cue ball tight in the ball cushion behind green. That's safe there. Perfect break-off. The final Q-tip in this little mini special World Championship series is the shot that obviously you'll have watched a lot of times during the World Championships, a shot that needs to be played properly. It's the blue splitting the pack. Now the best players in the world will take the cue ball, thick on the pink, thick contact, preferably full in the face, because we want to keep the cue ball in the middle of the table while splitting the reds everywhere. Lots of bottom on the cue ball. We see beautiful split, beautiful contact on the pink, a red in the middle, the black's in the open, go on, clear up and win the frame. The fourth Q-tip in this little mini World Championship series from the one table here at the Crucible Theatre is kind of an exhibition shot I used to love playing at the end of a frame. We're potting the brown in the corner, we're playing check side, left hand side, so when the cue ball hits this cushion, it comes virtually in a straight line to this cushion. There'll still be check side on the cue ball, and that'll hopefully take it down in this direction to be able to pot the blue. Extreme left-hand side aiming. And watch the check side, it's still on the cue ball, down, perfect on the blue. That's an exhibition shot for you. Absolutely delighted to be in the home of snooker, the Crucible Theatre, where I won 7 world titles, the one table set up to play this little mini series of Q-tips over the last 5 days of the World Championship. We're going to kick off with an exhibition black that Judd Trump plays. We're potting the black, we need position on the yellow, and he's going to take the cue ball of 5 cushions to get that position. Obviously not a shot he plays when the frame's still in the balance. Left hand side, stun on the cue ball. 3, 4 cushions, 5 cushions. Perfect on the yellow, a Judd Trump special. Welcome back to our Q-tips from the Crucible Theatre, the third of 5 shots I'm playing in this little mini series for the semi-finals and final of the World Championship. We've got a shot here that's kind of a shot of recreation. The first frame of the final I played against Jimmy White in 1993. Jimmy White made a bad break-off and left me this long red. Now this is a red you'll see potted so many times in professional snooker now. It's an important shot to know how to play well because it can create a great chance to get in early in the frame. So line up. Need smooth cueing obviously. Keep the head still. Slot the red in, perfect on the black. Split the reds open, clear up and win the frame. Today's Q-tip is a different way of potting the black and splitting the reds. Now this is a shot you won't see often played on TV, you won't see many professionals playing it this way, even myself when I was playing. but it tends to rely on two things: the angle you got in the black and the shape of the bunch of reds. So what we're going to do, we're going to play with top spin on the cue ball and a touch of left hand side. The top spin, which hopefully after hitting the black, will take the cue ball through the reds, opening up nicely. The left hand side in the cue ball is if the cue ball hits this cushion, we want it to go in that direction to make sure we've got position on the red. So in the cue ball, lots of top spin, slight amount of left hand side. Now you can see the top of the cue ball falling through that little bit left hand side, took it up the table. We're perfect on the red, frame's over. So cue tip today, we're showing you another way of putting the black in the corner and taking the cue ball to split the reds to try and create an opportunity to win the frame in one visit and make a big break. This is actually a way of going into the bag I actually prefer than going directly, because when you play from top spin off the cushion into the reds, it tends to keep the cue ball in the area of the reds. So what we're going to do, we're going to aim with right hand side, not really high in the cue ball, but higher than middle, and almost again like a stun shot. So you can see the cue ball's stayed in amongst the reds. We've got a chance to continue the break. It's not perfect, but a good chance to win the frame.
Stephan, cue tip for you. The underhand shot where everyone keeps asking me. Here we go. 2 fingers, 1 thumb, nothing else. It's all in the flick of the wrist right at the end where you get all the power. Let's try. Here goes. All in the flick. 2 fingers, 1 thumb. Give it a go.
Hey Stephen, here's a cue tip for you. A lot of requests for the long screw back. So basically the idea behind the shot is that I can't just knock in the long straight red for the black. So I've got to try and screw back for the blue or one of the bulk colours. Key to this shot is to keep your head very still and really accelerate through the ball kind of at the last moment. So a lot of players try and hit the shot too hard. It's all about the timing really, and just letting the cue do the work. Yeah, hit that pretty much perfect. Got a nice safe cue ball, should I have missed the red, and perfect on the green or yellow to continue the break.
Cue tip request from Dun5675, and it's for the screw back with check side. We've got an example here where we need to play that shot. We're straight in the black. This is the red we want to play for after it. But if we screw back off the cushion and don't put check side on, the cue ball's going to go that direction up here, obviously snooker herself on the red. So we need to play with check side, so when the cue ball hits the cushion, it kind of kills the pace and brings the cue ball in a straighter line. So we're on the red. Aim low on the cue ball, left hand side. There you see the check side, taking the cue ball in a straight line. We're on the red, chance to clear up and win the frame. Cue tip request from Will.Ashton, and it's about how to get position on the pink when you're clearing the table, but you're wrong side of the blue. So we're going to give you 3 options here. First one, just using the ball cushion, middle of the white, but aiming with left hand side. Bring the cue ball down in a straight line, nicely positioned on the pink. Second option, again left hand side. We're going to take the cue ball in between the yellow and brown spots of 2 cushions for the pink. And you see the side take effect, down, nicely on the pink. The third one, and my favourite way of playing the shot, is with right hand side of 2 cushions. I think this gives you a lot of margin for error here. Right hand side, 2 cushions. See, anywhere there you've got a nice angle on the pink to get the black and win the frame. Cue tip request from Paul155 Robinson about practicing your long straight pots. There's no real secret about it. The only way you get better is by basically practicing the shot. I would do this shot, from either yellow spot or green spot, set up a straight red, try and put 10 in a row. If you miss on the 6, 7, 8, you go back to the start again. But basically that's the only way you can get better at this shot, is just by putting the hours in. It's a matter of just getting the object ball, getting your alignment, finding the middle of the cue ball, deliver the cue smoothly, keep your head still. Boom. Q-tip request from Usama_El Kafani, and it's about how to judge different degrees of backspin on the cue ball. And it's all about the backswing really. The longer the backswing, the more screw effect you're going to get in the cue ball. We've got 3 examples here. If I want to just screw the cue ball back to virtually where it is now, short backswing, you deliver the cue. Still be quite positive with the delivery. Great. Wait for the chalk in the pockets actually on the table. A little bit longer this time. Maybe screw the cue ball back to where my bridge hand is. So a little bit longer backswing. And bring the cue ball there. If you want to bring the cue ball all the way back to the pocket, obviously you're going to hit a little bit harder. And again, even with more of a length in your backswing. So it's all about the backswing.
Yellow, little stun of the cushion. The aim is to be straight on the green.
Straight in the green makes it automatic position on the ground.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So just screw back literally an inch.
That's perfect. This is the most important shot, clear the colours.
You get this one right, perfect on the blue, it should be automatic. So a little screw shot.
We've not come quite straight enough to just drop on it pink, so we're going to have to play off the cushion with a touch of left hand side. Touch of check side. As the blue ball falls out the pocket.
Oh, we've not got a very nice angle on the pink, so lots of right hand side here.
Oh, we're happy with that one. Check side.
Got a pressure shot, this would be 140 for a maximum. But it's there.
So Q-tip today, we're showing you another way of potting the black in the corner and taking the cue ball to split the reds to try and create an opportunity to win the frame in one visit and make a big break. This is actually a way of going into the pad that I actually prefer than going directly, because when you play from topspin, off the cushion into the reds, it tends to keep the cue ball in the area of the reds. So what we're going to do, we're going to aim with right hand side, not really high in the cue ball, but higher than middle, and almost again like a stun shot. So you can see the cue ball's stayed in amongst the reds. We've got a chance to continue the break. It's not perfect, but a good chance to win the frame. Today's Q-tip is on using the rest. It's an implement that not every player is comfortable with. I myself wasn't the best with the rest. I think Sean Murphy, in my opinion, is by far the best, because he delivers a cue in exactly the same way as when he's got his bridge hand on the table. But the 2 basic principles I'd like to go by is the stance is a bit different. So your stance tends to be a bit wider, so you can get sort of lower down to get a good base, to keep yourself steady, and also keep your head a bit higher, because, for example, if your head's down here and you bring the cue back, you're going to whack yourself in the nose. So I lift my head a little bit higher. Then once you're cueing, it's the same principles. Keep still and deliver the cue smoothly. And that's how you use the rest. Today's Q-tip, we're actually going to go back to 1993, the final of the World Championship, me versus Jimmy White. Very first frame of the first session, Jimmy makes a poor break off, leaves me this long straight red. I pot it, make a total clearance, ideal start, win the first frame. The important thing to remember this shot, this really tests your technical ability. You've got to keep still as you can, and also, even more importantly, make sure you strike the cue ball in the middle, because the slightest millimetre either way of deviation, you're going to miss the pot by a mile. So let's get down, find the middle of the cue ball, take our waggles, back, still, pot the red, perfect on the black, and we're back to 1993.